You remember the fun we had when you poisoned me?
Hey, Cinners, I'm Shannon.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Sinful Cuts.
Yay, step.
Welcome to episode 6.
Episode 6.
Oh,
That's right.
It's crazy, right?
We're taking this thing to episode 666. It just feels
Yeah,
right.
we are. I wonder what episode we should do for that. I can't wait that long to do The Exorcist, but
No.
we'll find one. We'll find one.
Maybe Race with the Devil, maybe The Rain
Okay,
People. We got
okay.
some good satanic stuff. But you know what? I want to do those so much sooner.
I know.
You know what?
The time will be right. We'll know when we get there, I think.
Yeah, years from now.
It might
getting
take us
close.
just a little bit
Math 52.
carry the one.
I think my math is accurate. It will be 700 years from now. We will be at our 666th episode. But hey, look, you're along for the ride, and
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely. So this, what are we talking about today?
This is Smile. Gang, this is our intro for Smile. We had so much fun recording this episode. Almost as much fun as we had watching the movie, because I really love this one.
I enjoyed it again, rewatching it again. I really did. I love this movie. I know a lot. There's some people I know that have like issues with it. With the, I think the end scene is more what people talk about. But I loved it right from the beginning. You don't see that too often in the newer horror movies, so it was refreshing to me. I don't know.
This was for 2022. This and oh my God, I'm having a stroke. This.
We'll fix it in post.
Barbarian. This and Barbarian were my two standout horror movies of 22, which
is why we did them.
Oh, yeah. Full of great horror movies, lot of great projects for 22, but this one stood out, and the Bacon family they've got a rich horror history, so good on you, Bacon family.
Yeah.
Sizzle. Oof. All right.
Oh, and then
I'll see
also
myself
too,
out.
because like again, this is the intro. So the episode has been recorded already. Do we have to make an apology for the sound because we were having issues with our microphone? Was it
Not
that
only
episode?
Do we have to apologize? The sound was, that one particularly, we were at an active construction site, and there was dynamite usage, and we
Our
also...
story, and we're sticking to it.
Yeah, we were both holding a dishwasher and a washing machine, and we were on the tarmac of JFK Airport. So there you go.
That explains it all.
Yep. It's not as bad as we're
no
making
questions, please.
it out. But just please, listen and shut your yap. The sound's not great. We've since corrected the problem because I read the fucking instructions for the Yeti microphone, so yay for me. It took me 6 episodes, but hope you enjoy it. Please give a listen, and let's just go over our socials again. You can find us on Instagram
at Sinful Cuts, CINE. Well,
and
hopefully you know that because you're listening to this podcast. Already.
please. And we are on Spotify, and we're on iTunes, and we're on Stitcher, and we're on Google Music, and we're on Amazon Music. So if you listen to any of those platforms, please give us a listen. We'd greatly appreciate it. Give us a rating, give us a review. We would kiss your dirty little face if it's a 5-star and it's a good review.
I might blow a kiss.
But there you go. There you go. But we really would appreciate you guys just leaving some reviews, good or bad. It gives us some directions to follow on what we might be missing or what we can improve on.
Yeah.
And if the review is don't change a thing, well, hearts and kisses to you.
Yeah.
All right. Sit back.
Suggestions too, we would love as well.
Absolutely. Sit back and listen to Smile. Enjoy.
What is it you like to talk about?
My patient. Hi. I know you're nervous. I just want to have a chat.
I'm seeing something no one else can see except for me. It's smiling at me. Oh my God!
Yesterday, a patient in your care died brutally in front of you.
I need to find an explanation for what happened.
It's smiling at me. It's smiling at me.
You're going to die! You're going to die! You're going to die! You're going to
I found 20 cases involving 19 victims with a direct line linking them all together.
You said only 19. Why is it that everybody else who's seen it is dead and you're alive? I've seen it too. How long between each victim's death?
None of them survived longer than a week.
Today's my 4th day. I am not gonna keep running. I have to face it.
How does it make you feel?
I'm just really scared that something bad is going to happen.
Hey, Cinners, I'm Shannon.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Sinful Cuts. Welcome to our, what episode?
This is our 5th episode.
5th episode, right? Yes, I'm like, I can't count. So I hope everyone...
Full hand episode.
Full hand. So I hope everyone is having a good week. I actually have some fun things to talk about before we get into our main topic of today. So I'm reading... let me start with the movie because I was actually a little more excited about this. So I watched a movie last night that I didn't think I really knew what it was about at first and kind of didn't really give it much of a go, and we decided to watch it. My husband actually put it on.
Okay.
Bones and All.
Get out the Timothy Chalamet.
Yes.
I want to see that so bad.
All right. So if I could give a little insight to it without literally giving anything away, because I absolutely want to do an episode on this eventually. So if I can give you guys, if you guys ever saw Let the Right One In, and you know how that ends, think of the direct aftermath.
Yeah.
Okay. Mixed with We Are What We Are.
Oh, come on.
And it's literally labeled a romance horror. And so that was like kind of what drew Matt in first. He was like, because it was one of those moments where we're like, it's towards the end of the night. I'm like falling asleep practically. I'm like, put on whatever because I'm probably not going to make it anyway.
Yeah.
And he goes, romance horror. What the hell is this about? And because he was along like the same page as me. He's like, yeah, let's put it on and maybe watch it, maybe fall asleep. Doesn't matter, right? That's the mode that we're in. So he puts this movie on. So the tone is being set. We're watching, whatever. We get to like a certain setting. And again, I'm not even going to say anything of what it is, but I want to say 5 to 7 minutes in, something happens and Matt and I were instantly awake. We're like, whoa! Holy shit! Holy shit! The rest of it, I'll admit, it's definitely it's slower and more dramatic, and it's just... It's eerie, and but the story itself makes sense, and once it starts, you're just like, oh my god, like where are we going from here?
It got great reviews when it came out, but it came and went so fast I didn't get a chance to see it.
Yeah, and I think it did too. Like for me, it just kind of it came and went. I think we caught it on Amazon. I'm almost positive it's currently streaming on Amazon Prime. That's where we watched it, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's different. That's the best way I can describe it. So yeah, definitely give that one a go. I'm excited to talk about that one eventually.
Well, I mean, when you said Let the Right One In, and wait, so comparisons are Let the Right One In and We Are Who We Are.
We Are What We Are.
We Are. Oh,
yeah. That's the best nutshell way I can describe it, but also it's its own story. But if you want to, because like I said, I think I saw the trailer and I'm like, all right, it just looks like about like romantic It's like it's about like two runaways that are trying to start a relationship, like two young. That's all I got out of it, and I didn't get because it's definitely what I didn't see in the trailer, because how can they show that to you?
Mark Rylance is in it too, and
yes,
him.
He is so
freaking good,
and he's so scary. Like
I'm
he's so scary. That's yeah. I can't say anything more than that.
All right, so
but he was great.
what? You know what? You have our promise. We'll get to this, let's say, sometime October, November. We'll be able to filter that one in for
maybe. Yeah, for sure.
Because
we're not going in any particular order.
No.
At all. I mean, we've already done, we skipped Jaws, did Jaws 2. I have a feeling there's another sequel I want to do sooner than the original. I don't know. Just how we roll.
All right, so you had a great experience with Bones and All, which I'm going to watch this week.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to hear your input.
You had a great experience with that. I had a great experience watching Sharksploitation on Shudder. Great documentary about basically sharksploitation after Jaws.
Yeah.
They have a lot of fun. It's Steven Scarlatta, who, by the way, really good podcast with Steven Scarlatta, and of course I'm drawing a blank of what the hell it is, so I'll fix it in post and I'll put it in.
We'll plug it in the show notes, maybe.
I follow him on Instagram as well. He's a really good Instagram follow. And he put together a dynamite documentary. So after I watched the documentary, I was like, let me dive into a couple of the movies that are mentioned that I hadn't seen. So I saw Cruel Jaws, which was a complete rip-off of Jaws. They actually got sued because they used footage from Jaws.
That is
They used Chrissy Watkins swimming from Jaws, and they used the boat explosion from Jaws too. And then they used the theme from Star Wars in the movie,
which has to be obvious. I'm just gonna make like this Frankenstein type movie. Like, what are we thinking?
They thought, like, look, it's an Italian production. They'll never know. They'll never know.
Fans are like, that's so fucking obvious.
Of course, Universal Studios was like, cease and desist immediately.
Absolutely.
So, look, this movie is such. This movie is just a visual drinking game.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it. Have a party, put it on, and really enjoy yourself.
Which I enjoy. I love a good movie drinking game.
So then I started going down a rabbit hole of all these shark movies. But I didn't want to get into the good ones, but I did. So here's what I watched. I just started kind of picking and choosing just from the trailers. I watched Jaws 3 after Cruel Jaws because I just had to.
Okay.
Jaws 3... this has become one of my favorite Jaws movies. and I know I just said that the other week about Jaws.
Said no one else ever.
No one else. There's something so stupid and so fun about it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that every single copy of it is so grainy and distorted because of the 3D effect.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be a great restoration out there. Maybe. I didn't even bother to look. But I had a lot of fun with it. One time we'll get drunk and we'll do Jaws 3 and we'll have at it. I watched Open Water 3. I think it's called Open Water 3 Cage Dive, and it's a found footage, and it's actually really effective.
Oh, really?
This movie's scary as hell.
Oh, okay.
They incorporate some live footage of sharks with the story of a cage dive that the boat gets hit by a rogue wave and sinks.
Oh.
And all the three protagonists are now adrift, and of course, it's found footage, so one of the guys films the entire thing. It was really effective, small little movie, but it had some really good scares in it.
Wow.
So
okay.
that one I actually do recommend. And then I capped it off. My wife and I went and saw The Meg 2. And the less said about this movie, the better. I know we made a promise that we wouldn't disparage the hard work of filmmakers. But
sometimes it just doesn't work out, though. Like, that's, it is what it is.
This one is, this felt very much like massive studio influence. that they said, what's the most popular Jason Statham franchise? Oh, it's the Transporter. Let's make a Transporter movie with sharks, and then also let's not really have a lot of sharks in it, and more Transporter. And I'm like, did he karate chop anyone in the first one? It's just really weird.
I don't recall him doing that.
Yeah, it's just a real weird tonal shift, and then they're basically just cramming a lot of world cinema content.
Okay.
Up this movie's ass sideways, and it
sounds like it could have been just a paycheck, whatever.
Completely
figure it out, but I'm gonna go on and do my next movie. Bye. I don't know. Like I said, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
I was looking forward to some giant shark action, but then I ended the week by seeing The Last Voyage of the Demeter, and let me tell you something. It's not getting the best reviews. This is a real good movie.
I was really excited to see that.
It's a real good movie. It's atmospheric. It kind of harkens back to Hammer House of Horror. You get a real, just stormy seas, dark interiors, creaky ship vibe.
Which on the sea, I feel like is scary in itself.
Yeah, a lot of people are comparing it. They're saying it's basically period piece Alien, which they've got a point with it because Dracula is basically he's and no spoilers here, guys. You see it all over the trailer. But he's basically in his bat form, for the entire...
I'm a little upset that they showed him in the trailer, but...
Right? It would have been a real good reveal.
Yeah, I agree.
But Corey Hawkins carries this movie, and everyone in it is absolutely fantastic, but he's really good in this movie.
Okay.
And it's a tight hour and 45, and the scares are effective, and I think it was a $47 million movie, and it's up on the screen. So if you get a chance to see it in the movies, please do. It needs some support and some love right now, because it had a pretty wobbly opening weekend, but that was, as far as movies go, that was my week, but I did want to just round it out by saying I purchased Sadie Hartman's new book. She goes under the moniker of Mother Horror on Instagram, and if you're not following her, you absolutely should, especially if you like horror literature. Her new book is called 101 Horror Books to Read Before You're Murdered, and
I need to get that.
I blew through this book in about 2 days. The recommendations are incredible. I was really, really shocked because at the end of it, of course, you have the list of all the books that are recommended. I had only read 17 of 101 of these books.
Wow.
So I've got a lot of books to read, and there's horror recommendations from very well-known authors, like Paul Tremblay being one of them, Grady Hendrix, who's an all-time favorite of mine. They recommend 3 books that really resonate with them.
Okay.
So pick up the book. It's just really, really fun. There's and the recommendations are just absolutely tremendous. So that's it for me for horror this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who wants to talk about Smile?
I do. All right, so let's get into Smile 2022, written and directed by Parker Finn. So if you don't know the movie by chance, the quick synopsis basically is this. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, a psychiatrist becomes increasingly convinced she is being threatened by an uncanny entity. And that is pretty much the gist of the story. It was it actually originally was a short film called Laura Hasn't Slept, and that featured Caitlin Stasey, who plays Laura Weaver. That's the patient, the initial patient. I believe she's the initial poster as well. So
yes.
So Parker Finn, utilized her. Which was a really cool, quick little, maybe 3-4 minute short film of her as a patient explaining, what she's seeing, what's happening, what's going on.
So that film got him the movie?
Yes, and it was a longer version of that short film. So the scene, the original scene for the suicide in front of the psychiatrist, who's played by Sosie Bacon. Her name is Rose Cotter. Rose Cotter in the film.
So good.
She was fantastic. Fantastic. But he wrote that part for Caitlin Stasey to reprise that role again.
Double dipping, I love it.
With a much more dramatic ending, as again, we're going to spoil that. But she does grabs a glass, and that slow...
That's the worst throat slit
Yeah,
I've ever seen.
it's a very
It's the most progressive.
slow throw slit, and that was a little bit digitized, but that was mostly practical. She literally hooked a wire up to her, and she was able to actually cut, like I guess like the prosthetic that the
So
wire.
she's kind of like peeling
so
it.
she was so she was literally taking a much safer, I think, fragment instead of glass, but either way, but she was literally ripping something, and the blood. they did mention that was a very messy scene.
It's also like a throat slit beginning basically right below your temple.
Yeah, she goes all the way around and makes a gigantic smile.
That was a horrifying scene.
Yeah,
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is a spiraling nightmare, right? So it basically is supposed to play on anxiety. That's where Parker Finn got this idea from, and he just wanted to utilize basically almost like interior in a way how people deal with anxiety, because it's a much more recognized issue, I think, than it ever has been ever. Like the people, they talk about like the stress at hand and everything. So he basically wanted to I'm trying to think of the word, just utilize that idea and make it a visual nightmare. I think that those are the exact words he used. Like, just like tell this nightmare like visually, and also introduce this type of anxiety as like an actual curse. Because that's almost like what it is. If you've seen the movie, it's almost like a chain letter.
Yeah.
Type of
I mean, if that was
superstition.
the goal, if that was the goal, well done. Because
very
he
well done.
absolutely communicated that visually through the entire film.
He did. And he was very open they said he was very descriptive, that everybody kind of got exactly what he was saying, right down to all the characters. This movie was much more visually stunning than I initially knew. I really didn't know what to expect. I think horror movies at the time were I don't know, there was nothing like just that was like wowing me.
Yeah.
This was like the first one, I think, that wowed me in a long time. And again, just from the visuals alone. So there's a lot of upside down shots, maybe like 3 or 4.
They throw you off. I noticed that. I really love the camera work in this movie.
Yeah, same.
But it's unsettling.
It's very unsettling. So I'm sure a lot of people probably read it as, like this person who and she's a successful psychiatrist, has, like she's about to get married. She lives in a nice home. So like kind of has like the American dream,
Seems
in a way.
caring.
She cares about her patients. She is a hard worker. Her boss, seems genuinely sympathetic towards her. Who's played by Cal Penn, I believe.
Yeah. My notes. Yay, Cal Penn!
Yay, Cal Penn! So, it was like a little different for him to show up in that film, but he played his part really well. But honestly, you know how I saw the upside down shots? Turn that frown upside down. Like, so he literally utilized smile, right?
Oh my god, you're freaking me out right now. Because it's literally the first shot of the movie when you're seeing the mom. And then you do this circular...
Yeah.
Oh, you're freaking me out.
There's a lot of circular motions, and that's, granted, her life is immediately flipped on its head as soon as she's met with this curse. But that's, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh wow, turn that frown upside down. That's brilliant. And Matt looked at me, he's like, that's brilliant. How did you get that? I'm like, I don't know. It just came. I don't know. That's how I saw it. But they're beautiful. It's a beautifully shot film.
Cinners, I think we need to end the podcast. Shannon just won the internet right now. That is the most. I didn't even think about that. Turn that frown upside down visually, and it's literally the first shot of the movie. Oh, damn you.
Yeah, and it continues throughout the film, because
I'd say smart things too.
You're very smart too, Sean. You know a thing or two about a thing or two.
I know how to say 2003. All right, so I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
This isn't about me.
But no, I don't know. I absolutely loved this film. It was So, and we'll go back to Sosie Bacon, because she's pretty much literally in every single shot.
Boy, oh
So-
boy, she carried this movie.
So she absolutely carries this movie, and she does admit in interviews that it was definitely daunting on her to basically for her character to get more and more stressed out, more like, you know, she's biting her nails more and more. She looks unhinged by the end of the film, as I would too. But
you know
yes.
what I wanted to point out?
Yeah.
Because, all right, so Sinners, you know, chances are this movie wasn't shot chronologically. Maybe it was. I didn't do my research for that, so shame on me. But you follow her, Sosie Bacon, from the beginning to the end of the movie, and it's this steady progression of anxiety that builds and builds and builds and builds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tremendous feat for an actor to be able to do that in disjointed scenes that are filmed out of sequence.
Yeah.
That's a masterwork right there.
Absolutely.
I
As she's losing as she's losing like everybody who around her. Like there's granted they still care about her, you know, obviously, but her husband, her fiance rather, is looking at her like what is happening, you know? He like not really turns his back, but he kind of does. Her sister turns her back on her.
Well, he's very much. I think, you know, just to butt in for one sec. He's very much like, hey, we've had this like picturesque life up until this moment where now there seems to be a little bit of effort required, and I don't think that he is necessarily equipped to deal with it.
Yeah.
He kind of just wants things to go back to how they were.
Yeah, she kind of mentions that one time when he, you know, because she goes back and sees, like, there's another psychiatrist in the film played by Robin Weigert.
I like her a lot, too. She's one of my favorite character actors.
Absolutely. Dr. Madeline Northcott was her name, and it was, you find out it was, like, her childhood psychiatrist, so once she's met with this entity, she goes back to her. So that's how she gets introduced back into her life.
So you know what? Let's do this because there's so much to discuss about this film because it really is. You're peeling stuff back as you go along. Let's do the summary. Let's get the summary out of the way, and then we can kind of circle back and we can go over our favorite scenes and we can really start to unpack this thing because this movie, there's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot.
Just like poor Rose, there's a lot to unpack.
It really is. I know, poor Rose.
And hopefully Shannon and I will still be alive at the end of this. By the way, I just started calling the entity Smile because I'm an idiot. So when I refer to the entity as Smile, you'll know who I'm talking about going forward.
Yeah, because you never find out what it is.
No.
Which is which I like the mystery of that. That's
me. Yes, I do. Ultimately, I love that because it's denying me what I'm looking for the most.
Yeah.
But I find it very satisfying. But in the moment, I'm always
because it doesn't strive away from the subject at hand, and the subject at hand is Rose's journey dealing with this.
Yeah.
And that's it. It sticks with that from beginning to end.
Don't give me what I want. Don't give me what I want from It Follows. Don't give me what I want from The Ring or from Sinister. You know, keep it mysterious. And the movies that do start to, as the sequels go on, like The Ring and maybe even Sinister a little bit, that start to give you a little bit too much.
The Grudge started doing that, and that's when I'm like,
it makes it less effective.
It's not even interesting anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, like I said, we'll circle back and we'll start to unpack this stuff. But okay, so we have the opening shot, which we established is the mother is in bed. She is dead of an apparent suicide because you see the pills spilled. And
yeah. I think a little bit of vomit too. Just to, you get the whole picture there, and it obviously circles around. It turns around. You see a little girl just standing there, and it cuts right to Rose at her job. So now you know she's already dealing with trauma that it seems that she's running away from. You do find out quickly that she's working 80-hour weeks at the hospital. So it seems like she buries herself.
She's running away from something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I wrote that in my little notebook too. I'm like, all right, why won't Rose go home? Because there's that scene with the phone ringing, and she's well down the hallway.
Yeah, she runs right.
And she runs back. So okay.
And that's pretty much where things get knocked into 12th gear, because that's when she meets Laura Weaver, that's Caitlin Stacey's character, who tries to explain. She's going through that whole, she saw somebody commit suicide, and that's pretty much the chain, where somebody commits suicide once they're taken over by this entity, and it needs a witness.
Yeah.
And that's how it gets passed on, and that's the chain letter effect curse, if you will.
Now,
and it does not let you go.
Did you feel like, because I don't have the answer for this, because Rose has so much trauma from her past, I was wondering if Smile, in choosing its next victim, almost like a predator, they're like smelling their weakest prey. Because as we go through our previous victims, Laura was a PhD student, you had her professor, you had the woman in the gas station filling up. I didn't get the sense that any of these people were traumatized or had anything until you find out that the professor never got over his brother's death from 20 years ago. That's when I had the question of like, okay, so like is Smile as being this cursing entity, is it choosing the most damaged?
It's possible that it could.
Yeah.
It's weird that how it works out. It's possible that it could sense it or smell it. And I also feel like everybody has like a little bit, I don't want to say like outright trauma, but I feel it definitely harps on something damaging to you, and it just escalates it.
You know what? I think I'm splitting hairs here, because as I'm thinking about it, what would be more traumatic than seeing someone commit suicide in front of you? So even if this person was a Disney character, seeing someone plunge shears into their throat in a gas station parking lot, or
that alone is
a professor claw hammer their face would immediately put you
even if you don't have, let's just say, okay, like you had a picture perfect life, you'd never had any trauma, you're happy-go-lucky all the time. Yeah,
immediate
somebody
PTSD.
That's immediate.
Okay,
damaging already. So technically it might be creating one for you, because
that's established before I'm not the sharpest tool in the drawer. Now I get it. Okay,
but if it's still very horrifying, and just like I said, each scene that it just escalates from there. So you get the suicide scene. Now there's a scene where she goes home, and I can't say it's like one of the most frightening, but I love the usage of shadows. Like it goes right back to like old school, like Halloween, when he was considered the shape before Michael Myers, because he was just a shadow. You just see this man across the street just standing there carrying a body. Like you can't see details, but the shadow itself is so effective. And this was a little bit more enhanced, because it had to be enhanced enough for you to see the smiling face. But there's a part where she, after this happens, she goes home. She doesn't turn on all the lights. Why? I don't know. Every light would go on as soon as I'm entering this big house by myself. But either way, so she goes in and gets a glass of wine, which is probably what I would do.
Yes,
to calm my nerves. And she just like slowly circles over and sees a dark corner in her kitchen, and you can just make out a smiling figure there. Yeah. And nothing happens.
So
it's just there. And it's like, oh my God.
And it's so subtle that we're left to think, from Rose's perspective, this isn't like, oh my gosh, I'm cursed, what's happening to me? This very much is in line with, I've had a really insanely bad day.
Yeah. Like she doesn't even react. She immediately thinks, I gotta be seeing things right now.
Yeah, I gotta be seeing things.
Because as a psychiatrist's point of view.
But I love that. I love it that they don't bonk you over the head with it. That's just this slow, subtle buildup till, we get to the end and it's like a crescendo.
Yes.
But oh boy, I love it when people are skilled and they put it all on the screen.
It's perfectly paced. That's what I got from the whole thing. I was intrigued from the very beginning, freaked out at the initial suicide, and then as it started, I guess, haunting her, if you will, just letting her know that it's there, and then really, really started fucking with her really, really badly.
I got again, I'm going to refer to Smile as like it really is a predator. because
yeah.
it's playing with its food,
Yeah.
which is so disgusting and it's so upsetting, but
and traumatic in itself.
you could tell that it really doesn't want to. Its end game for Rose has to be when Rose is just barely holding on to the last fragment of humanity.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like it's most delicious, you know?
Probably.
And it made me think of Dracula, where, you know, it's referred to, whether it's Hammer or whether it's Bela Lugosi, or just so many variations of the mythos, how the sweetest blood is the youngest virgin blood, or even babies.
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
go back to that.
It's so upsetting.
Or
but
fear, like there's, or fear itself is if you remember, oh my god, I almost said Goosebumps. It's not Goosebumps. Are You Afraid of the Dark? If
sure.
If you're as old as us and remember that on Nickelodeon on Friday nights at 9:30. Or Nick at Night or whatever I guess it was considered, but there's an episode where the character creates a soup, and each bowl is like, I remember, like $100. People come from all over the world to eat the soup, and you find out like the secret ingredient is fear.
it's so cool.
Right? So random little childhood seed right there, but
It's on YouTube. Check it out.
yeah, probably. So that's a shot that I like. Now I don't think it's the very next shot, but as she's trying to, figure out, like, what happened, I think she's still trying to process what she saw, what just happened. So she actually she has the audio of her encounter with Laura.
Yeah.
And she's listening to it, and now there's a scene where she sees a little blurb, and she makes out, after the incident happens, she calls the cops, or the security, rather.
Yeah, security.
Yeah, she calls them into the room. They take way too long to get into that room, by the way. Way too long.
Way too long.
But, I digress. And, so she's listening to it, right? And then you can hear a whisper of her name.
Yeah.
That alone was freaky to me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they're like, and it's a jump scare, granted, but this one was effective. And this is how you do a jump scare, people. But all of a sudden, it cuts back to her, and then the entity is right next to her in her ear and screams out her name. Whoa.
It's the ultimate pump fake, because I kept waiting for an audio scare, because she's got the headphones on and she's got the damn thing dialed up to 11, and I keep waiting for it to hear a scream or something, and then when it's that visual scare of her right next to her face.
Yes.
I shat everyone's pants in the theater. Not just mine. I jumped.
Yeah, I definitely jumped, like a piece of me, like, left my body.
Well done.
I might have floated above, like, just before settling back down.
At that moment, because when I saw this in the theater, at that moment I was like, well, that was the price of admission right there. All right. I'm gonna, even if this thing comes off the rails, you got me.
But wait, there's more.
By the way, I found this out from the second time watching the movie. You know what's incredibly triggering for me?
What?
Broken glass.
Okay.
When people drop glasses in movies, I do not like it.
Okay.
I do not like it at all.
It's the sound, or you just know that it's gonna like someone's gonna step on it. Okay, yeah.
It's just, I found out this is one of my triggers. Yeah.
Okay,
and then when she does it the second time, but the good thing is then it's acknowledged, because Trevor's like, Rose, did you break another?
Yes. He's like, did you break another?
And I was like, thank you, Trevor.
Yes. Somebody gets it.
You let me down in so many ways in this movie, but not that way.
Yeah, when you break glass in your own house, like, yeah, well, like anybody, you want to clean it up immediately.
My first thought is, we have to move.
Yeah.
we now have
Let's burn it to the ground to get rid of it. Nobody can move in here ever again.
Broken glass is a thing for me. Who knew? Okay, sorry.
Well, now we know. So, okay, so after that, and then, now all of a sudden she can't find her cat.
Oh, mustache.
Mustache, cutest little cat.
Oh wait, can I read my note that I wrote about mustache? Where is it? I had so much fun with this movie. Rose has a cute cat named Mustache, ... but also fuck cats. I'm sorry, mustache. R.I.P. mustache. I just gave a spoiler, but I'm a dog person. But for
I am too, but
respect.
But any animal, obviously trigger warning. There is an animal death in it. Luckily, we don't really see it. It's just more.
Yeah.
It's more implanted, which is probably the best way for me to do that. It's fine because I don't want to see it really, but she goes. She's wrapping up a birthday present for her nephew. She goes to the party. Now there's actually, before I get into that scene, there's a pretty cool, it's very subtle, but there's actually a scene I really enjoyed right before going to the party. So she's getting ready, okay, and she's just looking in the mirror, and she's faking a smile, like she's pretending to smile, and that is the and I think that even just that small scene, granted, like the whole thing in Parker Finn's vision, just that little tiny thing, that tiny little moment, I mean to say, is I want to say what 98% of us maybe do that.
Yeah.
When we're at our worst, like when we're having a really bad day. I've even done it sometimes in the middle of like a work day.
Especially
the morning starts off like shit, and you have that moment to yourself in the bathroom normally. And you just you wash your hands, you do your thing, and then you look in the mirror and you practice a smile to ensure others that you're fine, even though inside you're really not fine. And that to me, like I said, it's very quick. It's like maybe like a 20-second not even scene, but that alone was effective because she's clearly not okay. No. and she never has been. Like, you do find that out eventually, but just I really dug that scene alone. Because
so
that was very heartbreaking.
It's
so
so heartbreaking.
Very realistic. But it was very effective. And then her day, at the party gets worse.
Oh, boy.
It gets much worse.
Poor Jackson.
But
not a great party for poor Jackson.
No, not a great party at all. So he might have trauma now too. So it's trauma everywhere.
I want to come back to that.
Okay.
We're gonna put a little asterisk next to Jackson, and we'll get back to him because there's a very, well, when we get there I'll point it out, okay. But I have it in my notes.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. But,
all right, the party. Huh?
Yeah, the party. So, Jackson is opening his presents. Everything starts off fine. For the most part, and it goes to open her present, which you see her buy, the present. It's a train, cute little train, like any boy would have loved that, right? And unfortunately, it's Mustache's body.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, that really puts a downer on the birthday party. Everyone was just eating cake. We had the fireworks going. Not fireworks, the candles going. A sparkly candle, if I remember correctly. Everyone was having a great time. And she was pretending to have a great time. And then obviously her day got so much worse.
This for me, this is the part of the movie where we go from Rose has been putting up a good front, the smile in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Just trying to pacify everyone.
She's trying to hold it together. Like I said, I think she also thinks it's in her own mind.
Yeah.
I think she's like, I gotta be seeing things, She asked for medication to make it stop.
And we're probably about maybe 45 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, it's a good halfway point by this scene.
Crossroads. Mm-hmm. This is the crossroads where, okay, you know what? Now this is where we go from. Mm-hmm. She's going from I can function in society and try and pull this off to, okay, now I'm on the other side of it, and I have to figure out
this is something else.
Yeah, this isn't anxiety or PTSD. This is, holy cow, I may actually be cursed.
Something is attached to me, and it's really messing up my whole life right now. And what a great scene too for her to finally get to that level where she's freaking out, holding a mustache, and then she falls through a glass table. Oh, but so again, your take on broken glass, and you could see it in her.
By the way, the most realistic reaction to someone falling through a glass table, because usually in movies someone will fall through a glass table and then they're still in that mode of like, I'm fine, everybody, I'm fine, I'm not crazy.
No,
she looks at her arms,
belts it
and
out,
starts screeching, and I'm like, yeah, that's what people would do.
I absolutely would do that.
Yeah, I like that. When it's when it's a realistic representation of what would actually happen, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But this was a very effective scene because now we're on the other side of the bubble, and now the stakes are real.
Yeah.
And in your mind, you're like, is that a ticking clock I hear? Which is my favorite kind of movie.
Yeah.
I love a movie where, okay, you know what? We still haven't, as the audience members, we haven't figured out what the formula is. We're starting to figure out that, okay, Smile, the entity, is dining off of suicide, leading to trauma, leading to suicide, to trauma, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But we don't know that there's a clock. But now I'm starting to hear that clock start to tick. And now, like, at this point...
and they only mention it, like, only a few times. Like, it's about a week.
Yeah.
Right?
I think he said... I think it's,
Because Laura's said it, too. Like, about a week or so ago, I watched my professor kill himself or something like that. Like, I think she kind of figures it out, like a week.
It's a week span.
Yes, yes.
So I wrote down two things that I absolutely love. I love a curse movie, and I love a ticking clock movie. So when I get both of them together, which most curse movies are ticking clock movies, when nothing gets ramped up.
It has to come to the final minute, final second.
If it can be done smart and done well like this, ooh, chef's kiss. Mm-hmm. But again, so now we've established, all right, now we really need to get in front of this thing and figure it out. But our protagonist is incredibly damaged.
Yeah.
So
what do now?
In other movies, what I really appreciated about Smile, in other movies like Sinister, which I really like, even if I remember correctly, The Ring, the protagonist usually reaches out to a quote-unquote expert.
Okay.
It's usually someone who owns an occult shop, or they're in academia, and they reach out, and then they get that exposition dump of like, oh, it's Bagul, and, you're really fucked, or, oh, this goes back to Aramaic, Usually there's a very definitive, this is what it is, and these are the stakes. And I love that this movie doesn't do that. It parcels it out in little bits and pieces.
You give it like, they get like a moment of that a little bit for one person that understands what she's going through.
Rob Morgan,
a little bit.
Rob Morgan in prison really gives us the biggest exposition dump, being the only survivor. But I'm doing what I always do every episode, and I'm getting us 5 scenes ahead of where we need to be, so I'm going to shut my yapper.
No, but we're actually pretty close to that. So by this point, right now, she's pretty desperate. She encounters it a couple more times again after that, but obviously her fiance Trevor pretty much has turned on her. She does try to go back to talk to her sister after that fun scene, which is Holly. It's played by Jillian Zinser. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. But she... and they get, now you get a little sense of what happened in their childhood, which I thought was a really cool scene. Again, you get it, just a quick little dialogue between the two of them, and then the way that scene ends was just so brilliant to me. That scared the shit out of me too.
What upset me so much was that they put that in the trailer.
Oh, they did put that in the trailer.
I was like, why
would you do that? Yeah.
Sinners?
As she's, because the angle was just like perfect. That was a great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my helpful tip to all the sinners out there. I know you're addicted to trailers just like I am. It's a problem.
But less
Watch
is
the
more.
first one. Never, because movies now release about 4 trailers before the movie's released.
Yeah. Especially the Marvel films.
Yeah.
I'm done with superhero films, at least at the moment anyway. I don't know.
I think superhero films are done with superhero films for the moment. They all suck on ice right now.
That's why they're showing the whole movie in a trailer.
I know. All right, James Gunn took over DC. We have our eye on you, buddy. Don't let us down, but we'll see. But when they show shit in the trailer, it just annoys the hell out of me. But I made a little note as well, and I'm really, Sinners, drop what you're doing, lean in close, because I believe I've mentioned this movie in the past, and we're absolutely going to do it on a future episode. But that upside down head is very reminiscent of an Argentinian film called Terrified. Not the fucking clown movie called Terrifier. It's called Terrified, and it's possibly one of the best horror movies ever made. Just check it out. Again, I'm not saying that Parker cribbed the upside down head from Terrified. Things can exist in a parallel,
Yeah, for sure.
There are only so many scares that you can have in the litany of scares. They're both insanely effective, but it made me think of that movie, and it made me smile. So it wasn't like a shaking my fist. I was like, well played.
Yes.
Well played. And that, again, made me shit my pants.
I was gonna say, despite it being in the trailer, I was still like, I definitely jumped anyway.
Yeah.
Just. Ugh.
By the way, let's just talk about just for a moment. Let's just talk about atmosphere in this film, because it wasn't until I watched it the second time and got to the end of my second watch where I looked back and I was like, there wasn't one sunny day in this movie, nor was there one rainy day. Every single outside shot is a cloudy day. It matches the interior of Rose.
Okay.
Just muddled and dark, a little bit dark.
Okay, yeah.
And it just, visually in film, if we get that sunny day, it could take us out of what's supposed to be happening with the character.
Okay.
Or they could club us over the head and it's dark and stormy and you're like, I get it. We're supposed to, this is that what's happening internally. But this was so subtle and I really didn't notice it until my second watch.
Oh, okay. I don't think I noticed that either.
Check it out.
Okay.
When you rewatch it, every damn daylight scene is just gray.
Okay.
Just a gray day.
Okay.
I don't know if they did it in post.
I was gonna say, it was filmed in New Jersey, which isn't necessarily known. I've seen sunny days in New Jersey. It's not really known for being, it's not Seattle.
True. I feel,
but it's possible that it could have been in post. It could have been a coloration afterwards.
It's
but
super effective though.
Yeah.
Because it keeps that steady mood going throughout the entire film. And again, I didn't even realize it till I was done, and then I was like, God damn you, Parker. Right.
Well done, sir.
I got my eye on you.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? All right, you continue on with our summary, and I'm going to quickly look up and see if Parker's got something on the horizon.
Well, by this point, she starts confiding in her ex-boyfriend, who's a detective in the film. He was a detective who showed up at the initial suicide at the hospital. That's Joel, played by Kyle Gallner. And, so she starts confiding in him, can we please, backtrack and look at, past incidences, because obviously he has access to things like that. So he starts looking into it and quickly, at first, of course, it's like, why are we doing this? I could lose my job, whatever. But he quickly starts realizing a pattern as well. These people, all of a sudden, they start... they start acting weird and erratic and whatever. Then all of a sudden they commit suicide, and then somebody that was around them, same pattern a week later. So he starts backtracking all these cases, and now is definitely intrigued, and I'm assuming becomes very worried.
Yeah.
And he's the only one now that kind of believes her. And that's when he's the one who discovers the prisoner. Robert Talley was his name. That's Rob Morgan's character. And that's a great scene, too, where she convinces him to let him interview... or I think they say it's an interview. However they get her in there.
Another great actor.
You can just because any of us can just ask. Oh, I just need to speak to this one prisoner, this very dangerous prisoner, and oh yeah, you can just get right on in.
Yeah.
So they, she's granted the 10 minutes or whatever, and so she asks him, and so that's the scene of the one person that understands, or the one person, as you were saying before, that knows what this is and gives an explanation. Except he can't really give an explanation. He can only explain what he was experiencing, and then what he doesn't even say. I don't even think he says why he decided to try that. It might have just occurred to him.
It's just really quick exposition. He just says, I tried to research as much as I could, and he's like, I found out that there were similar cases around the world.
In other parts
Brazil.
of the world. Yeah.
And then you're I love that, because then you're expanding the mythology just a little bit, just a
tiny bit,
you know?
Yeah.
And then he's the one who then says to Rose, look, she says, how are you alive?
Yeah.
And then he's like, look, the only way to do it is you got to pass the curse along.
Yeah.
And that is, you gotta kill someone.
He recognized it quickly as a chain letter,
and you got to make it messy.
You got to make it count.
Because it's almost like you got to chum the water for the entity, Smile, so that it hops from you to that person, to who's ever going to witness that. And I'm like, ooh, this is sharp. Ooh, this is sharp stuff.
Yeah.
It's so simple, and it is a simple premise, but it's done so well, and they don't oversell it to you. They just present it of like little bits and pieces, and you can infer a lot. And I love that about this movie.
Yeah, but the main another reason why I really like this scene too was because they just utilized the fear. So the quick little spoiler on this is the entity never shows up in this scene.
Nope.
It's just the idea that it exists. They're trying to figure this out. Once he realizes, because she says it's somebody else. Like I think she goes along that she's a psychiatrist and it's one of my patients or whatever.
She's fibbing.
And she's just a tad. But she slips. And then he realizes, he's like, it's following you, like you fucking have it, and the fear that he switches.
It's my favorite scene in the movie because it's an acting masterclass. Because her reaction of screaming, I can't kill someone, and her hands are shaking, and she literally grabs her mouth because she said it out loud.
Yeah.
And then his reaction to finding out that she's cursed, and he's like, why are you here?
Because if the entity gets in her then, and now he has it again.
Favorite scene in the movie.
Right?
Loved it. Watched
Absolutely.
it about 3 times.
So, Rob Morgan, he gave a very, very great performance for that.
Shout out to Rob Morgan. He's in Winning Time right now. He plays Magic Johnson's dad, and he's just so good. I just love him. Everyone in this movie.
Everyone was great.
Everyone brings their A game, and look, the parts aren't gigantic, but they show up, they do the work. I just loved it. Everybody played their part so well, and oh man, and
they all, like, if you watch the interviews, they really, really all give credit to Parker Finn. He was very descriptive, he just knew what he wanted in the very beginning. He had it in his head, and we're gonna get more into that too, because the end scene, I have fun facts about the end scene.
I'm going to re-listen to this episode, and Cinners, look, I get it, because I can hear myself. I'm just gushing over this movie, and it's probably a little nauseating, but this movie and Barbarian, which we did last week, Parker Finn and Zach Kreger, just to have 2 horror movies like these two come out in 2022, you spoil me. I just felt like it
can be done, guys. It can be done.
Not to say that there weren't dozens upon dozens of great movies and comics and books in 2022, but just to have these 2 movies come out, not so far apart from each other, and go back to back into both of them. I mean, I was just dancing on air for weeks after this.
I was too.
Anyway, my love letter, I'll hearts and hugs and XXX. Parker Finn. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm going to kind of jump ahead a little bit. So like I said, we're with Joel. She gets to the point where, now the only thing I can do is pass along the curse, but the key words that she realizes is that it needs a witness.
Yes.
So now, I mean, granted, maybe it's a little unrealistic, or at least according to Joel, right? Because she's like, I'm going to go, where no one is.
Yeah.
So, and Joel's like, well, that's your plan? You're just going to avoid people forever? That's not realistic. But I think also, too, because she does try. She knows it's going to follow her anyway. She tries to hit this thing head on. She tries.
I was wondering. Okay, so let's just back up for 1 sec. So we find out that it's a hallucination in her car, but we're led to believe that she's going to see Carl, who's in the psych ward, and she's going to kill Carl. And then whoever shows up, because, Carl's going to scream, and whoever shows up is going to be traumatized, and then the curse will jump. I mean, look, she's going to be doomed to 25 years to life in prison, just like Rob Morgan, but at least she won't be cursed by the entity. Then we find out it's a hallucination. Very effective scene, by the way. When she's stabbing poor Carl,
and
then
just
he starts laughing, and then Cal Penn comes in screaming and then rips his own face off. I was like, this is escalating quickly. And then she wakes up in the car. Then we're in reality. Mm-hmm. And then Cal Penn's outside, and then he sees her with the butcher knife. But he says something that you shouldn't be alone. Something clicks with her right there. Then she beelines for her childhood home. Which, by the way, there was a scene where Holly wants to sell the house. Holly and Glenn want to sell the house, and she curses at them during dinner with Trevor, and she's like, I don't want to talk about it, let's change the fucking subject. So she's very much like, this is a totem for her. Mm-hmm. You know, and of course then, I don't want to spoil it because I think we're getting into it right now, we find out why it's a totem for her.
Yeah, that's
but I'm wondering, I was wondering why she did make a beeline for the house, because now we get the exposition of what actually happened with the mom. But does she have a plan? I was wondering if she, in that moment of enlightenment, when Cal says you shouldn't be alone, and then a light bulb goes off. So, Cinners, in the comments, I feel like maybe I've missed something. So give us your theories on that exact scene, because it definitely... Saoirse Ronan, Jesus, fuck me.
Blah, 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 blah.
Cersei Bacon and Saoirse Ronan, who aren't the same person.
Two completely different people.
She was, all Irish are the same, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I can say that because I'm Irish, so it's not racist. She makes a beeline, and I am wondering, because I do feel like I've missed a piece of the puzzle here. So she gets there. Maybe we'll figure it out as we talk about it. So she gets to the house.
So she gets to the house. I think it was just the only other place that she knew where to go. It was the... Maybe it's also possible she realized that it is harping on fear, it's harping on trauma, and that was the initial start of her lifelong trauma up until the moment she even got cursed.
All right, I'm reaching here.
So I'm thinking... Oh, either that or like, where else is she gonna go? That you could be alone.
I'm reaching, but do you think because she's equipped, because to my knowledge, none of the other suicides or victims have been a psychologist or psychiatrist, forgive me, I
know one was a professor.
Okay. But it, yeah, I don't know what he was professor of. But do you think that she made a beeline to the house because, like, as someone in the medical profession, she's like, I think maybe if I can come to grips with my trauma in the setting of my trauma, I can unravel the curse?
It's possible. At this point, you have to try anything, because even the one person who got out of the curse still doesn't know what it is.
Yeah,
he's like, this is the only thing that worked for me, and she's like, well, I don't want to do that, so I got to do something else.
It feels very much like I'm pulling stuff out of my ass, but Sinners, let me know if you agree or disagree. I don't know.
It could have been but it could be a moment of just desperation. Again, she's like,
yeah,
I can't go through with killing somebody, so let me figure something else out. Maybe if I hit my own trauma head on
and go to the source
and go right to the source, and maybe I can it's gonna follow me anyway. I'm gonna confront it, and if I confront my trauma, maybe that'll disassemble it, and maybe I won't be as interesting
and
anymore.
Her plan is to burn her trauma down.
Yeah, it's not a bad plan. It's again, she is desperate at this point. Her talk is ticking. Wow, her clock. Her time is running out.
Nothing makes me happier than you've caught the curse of my fucking mumble mouth, and now you have it. Oh, we're making our own movie here, Sinners. Oh, I love it. I can't wait.
We're just gonna say everything wrong.
Oh, when you say 2003, that's gonna be our last podcast. We're gonna quit. I'll have one, and I'll curse Shannon completely.
As long as you know what I'm trying to say, then we're fine. But it does it starts harping on that scene, right, where she opens the bedroom door where she initially found her mom. Probably hasn't opened that door since she was 10 years old, and she saw that her mother was dead from an overdose.
But wait, no, not dead. the mother's telling her, I made a mistake, and she lets her mom.
Yeah, then you find out why it was even. I mean, finding your mom, I think, in that state is already traumatic enough. But then realizing that she could have called for help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
just let her die.
yeah. Ugh.
So now we're in
And
the
live
source of
with
her
that.
trauma.
Live with that your entire life. Yeah.
So I could see why the entity, or Smile, would be attracted to that and dine out on that and have fun playing with its food. And now we're at the point where I think we're at that stage where we, like this is her Hail Mary pass.
Yes.
Her last vestige of sanity, and it's all or nothing. And then this is where Parker Finn, fuck yeah.
He does throw you for a loop.
He got me so bad.
He got me bad too. And sometimes you can see it like, no, it can't just end that way. But I was like, oh no, I think we got it. And then you're like, ah.
I bought into it because the movie had been so gray and had been torturing poor Rose for an hour and 45 minutes. And I really did feel like,
I'm
by the way,
traumatized by this point from it.
one of my all right, so we've covered favorite things. I love a curse movie. I love a ticking clock movie. I love a nihilistic ending. Even though I don't in the moment, but I do later.
I do, yeah. I do. Like, you know,
love a
yeah.
nihilistic ending.
Instead of like wrapped up with like a pretty little bow.
But I would convince myself, because of what we've been through for the past hour and 45, that there could be possibly a glimmer of hope.
Maybe Rose,
And then
maybe.
Parker Finn was like, oh, do you like what I brought you? How about I set it on fire?
Like,
Literally.
Yeah, figuratively and literally.
Oh, you bastard.
He really did. He
Well
really,
played. I love it.
Well played, absolutely. Absolutely threw you for a loop because you get the
So take us home. Take
yes.
us home.
So you get the you see the scene with her mom, and then obviously her mom transforms into like a giant slender man. That's kind of what and Parker Finn does say that, like like he wanted to take the source of her trauma was her mother.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people will say like, oh, like depending which movie you saw first, like it's so comparative to Barbarian.
Sure.
And I like. When you research the shit out of these movies, as we do, it was really just a coincidence. Yeah. Like, one was genuinely just trying to be a mother and just a product of her environment. This one was literally her mother. Like, that was literally
just happy accident.
The base of her trauma. Two completely different movies, two completely different endings. So, do I compare them? I mean, I guess I can see the similarities, but not really. They both used a tall and very, very slender person, and
people dined out on it because the movies came out so close.
And they came out so close together. I think I agree with you. A happy accident.
People would still bring it up, but had they been a year or two apart, it would just been like, oh yeah, you know what? They kind of use the same trope, and they both used it very effectively, and it was very well done. But because they're a couple months apart, they were like, hey,
yeah, but no, I consider them two completely different alleyways, honestly.
Which for me, when I see stuff like that, I can't love it enough because it just brings me back to Wreck and Wreck 2. And
there's a lot of films. It Follows. Remember that one guy that the gigantor man that just comes through her bedroom, like blah. Like there's something about a tall, slender person. I mean, Slender Man. Come on, it's there's something about it. It's just it's creepy.
Now
the house on Haunted Hill, I think, even had one, right? The floating thing.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, let me ask you this, though. Is this a manifestation that is indicative to just Rose? And I'll tell you why.
I think in this moment, yes.
I wonder if other victims were seeing the same thing, and I'm going to argue that they weren't.
They do. There's a scene.
Laura isn't looking up, she's looking straight, which would mean frame-wise it's the same height as her. I think Rose's got the gigantic mom because her trauma is so gigantic, you know?
Okay.
Like, it's manifested into this gangly beast that's almost like the proportions are almost too much to like visually comprehend.
Okay,
and
I see what you're saying.
Then how it opens her mouth and goes inside of her.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that didn't happen with the other victims, but I I'm going to say that every victim has its own manifestation of whatever the beastie is.
Because that's what Laura says in that scene. She goes, it turned into my grandfather, who I watched, who died in front of me when I was 7.
Okay.
So and obviously it could have been anybody. It was a random person that she just thought was another party goer at Jackson's birthday party. At one point, it's her own psychiatrist.
Okay.
And another time, it's Joel. Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
So part of the mythology that we can definitely say is canon is that when Smile enters, you know,
I really want to talk about that scene too, by the way.
When and of course it's all a manifestation, so it's not physically opening her mouth, like tearing her head off, you know, but she's, or is she? So Smile goes into Rose, and now from the moment Smile has now entered the physical manifestation of Rose, now Rose is smiling, and then kills herself, and then traumatizes Joel. By the way, Parker Finn, again, I think I show my love by saying "fuck you" a lot to these filmmakers, and it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate praise.
It is the ultimate praise, ultimate compliment, because we totally thought there's a scene where like she sets it on fire, and you think she gets it. She looks like she gets away. She gets back to Joel's place, and no. She doesn't.
She's right back where she was, and it's another hallucination.
It is another hallucination. You can't escape your own mind. That's what it tells her.
You know what? You stop.
That's what it tells her. But let me get into that scene really fast. Okay. So
and then let's talk about the actual last frame of the movie, the last scene of Joel's eye, because that's crazy.
That is a good scene too.
The floor is yours.
So now get back to the scene. We're right back to where, you know, we thought the movie was going to be good for Rose, and it's not. We're right back to the cabin. Nothing was accomplished. Nothing was set on fire. Nothing. So she, you know, now Joel arrives and she's freaking out. She runs back into the house for whatever reason. Well, I guess at this point there's no escaping it anyway. So
yeah.
Either way, or she thinks Joel's I don't know, whatever. She's just freaking out at this point.
Well, yeah, no, in her mind, I guess she's terrified of Joel.
Of anybody. Of anybody at this point. So she runs back into the house. The entity is there. It's her mother again, you know, the slender man person, mother thing. And now it takes, it transforms into the other thing. So that was an actual practical. So that this is the part that I really wanted to talk about, because I was happily delighted to find out that this was practical. I'm going to tell you how. How do you ask? I'm going to tell you. So if you watch the behind the scenes,
I wrote down CGI really good in my notes, by the way. Yeah. So you're freaking me out.
So what actually happened was they built two, or you know, whatever, created these two makeup effects, the Slender Man, and then they are actually able to rip the mother's face to reveal the other thing, which is just it's a thing. It's a bloody skeleton-y thing. Okay. Yeah, okay. So that's and the man who's puppeteering it, I forgot. I did not get his name. I do apologize, but he's you know, puppeteering the top half, and you know, it's all on his face, and then they have these legs that, you know, like gigantic demon legs that another person behind him is puppeteering. So now, if you remember the scene where Rose now is basically, she gets to that unfortunate point, the clock has ticked down. I'm not saying talk again. So this is the final second, and she now gets down on her knees and is just succumbing now to this. This it really is heartbreaking. Now the scene, you know, obviously cuts her out. And you know, it's a little bit of a faraway shot, I guess, to really sell this point, which again, effective in itself. And the demon now is entering her. To take over her. So I guess this is the way it's happening. So they actually built a dummy, like really just more of like a torso and hand, arms, with, you know, the upper part of Rose as closely as possible. You know, up close it definitely looks like a dummy. So again, hence the scene, it's the camera work is far enough away, and they purposely made this part of her mouth it stretches out to like here.
And you can see tiny.
I know
little
you can't see
tears.
here, but it stretches out. Cinners can't see it. You know, I'm demonstrating this for Sean, but I know you can't see me. But the mouth did stretch out quite a bit, where and the guy said, he's like, just stretch it out as far as you can, and just put your head in it as far as you can. And that was what the actor was instructed to do. So he is actually pulling and entering. That is an actual scene. There is no CGI in that one scene. I was flabbergasted, and again, happily delighted to find that out.
There's not a lot of CGI in the movie. There's not a lot of practical in the movie, but the practical and CGI they have in the movie, incredible. They
really tried.
Seamless,
as practical as possible.
Effective.
Very effective.
Oh man, you're freaking me out that was practical.
Right?
Love practical. More of it.
Yes, please. And and that's and then obviously, yes, so now she is possessed and unfortunately continues exactly how the entity wanted her to continue.
Yep.
And it's clear that it's passed on to Joel, who you just see her light herself on fire, and you see it really more in Joel's pupils, reflected in his eyes, and that's the end of Smile, and it's wonderful.
We're doing further Joel's curse now, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, you're gonna go and assume that. Even though he does have a little bit more of a knowledge now, because now he helped her, so it makes you wonder if is he just going to pass it on and
I thought was going to be cursed.
Find a stupid criminal to freaking kill or whatever.
Well, I mean, but he'd have to have a witness.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's the only the only caveat.
Oh, you know what? He did not find that out. Actually, when she found that out from
that's
Robert
why he wasn't in the room.
He wasn't in the room, and she did not tell him that.
Sorry, Joel. You are so screwed.
You're fucked. Sorry.
You know who I thought was gonna? Who? As I was watching the movie, I thought Jackson, because there's that scene with Rose outside the house, and there's a very, very purposeful shot of Jackson watching her freak out through the window.
Yeah, I liked that scene too.
And I'm like, all right, so here Jackson is, and I think he's 7. He's had a pretty idyllic life, except for opening up a present with a dead cat in it, and then a couple of days later, seeing the perpetrator of that action freaking out outside his house, and I'm like, are we cursing Jackson?
Yeah.
And for a hot moment, I was kind of obsessed with that while watching the movie, and I think I still am a little bit. I don't think Jackson's completely off the hook, but I don't know how to circle back to him.
Yeah.
But Joel is definitely 1,000% fine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's pretty much what it's been the whole time. So again, the chain letter continues. So it did apparently get greenlit for a sequel.
Well, 17 million and it made over 200 million. I mean, that's a hit.
Yes, very much so. And Parker Finn, the only thing he has said about it was he went with like both ideas. So he did like it as a standalone film. He did leave some other elements open to explore.
Okay.
For a sequel, assuming that or in the hopes anyway that it would be successful, which luckily it worked out. So I don't know. He definitely would wants to go in a different direction with this, but we literally know nothing, which is fine with me. It's the less I know, the better. That's exactly how I went in with this film, and I enjoyed it, and I don't think you should duplicate it. And again, I in a way, I hope we don't explore what it is, but maybe a little, or do it in the right way or in a smart way. What that is, I don't know. Don't take my advice, Parker Finn. You do your thing. You know what you're doing.
I'd be perfectly fine. Because I'd love another Smile movie, because I think he is entirely capable. I mean, look, turning it into a short film, into a feature, which is insane on this premise, because we've seen it before. We've seen it with Lights Out. There's another one that's glaring, and of course I can't remember.
Like a short film too. Saw was that?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So we definitely. Oh my God, Saw, and then now they just won't stop.
Now they won't stop.
but I I and sometimes you regret it. I would love to explore this mythology more. Take me to Brazil. They've already, it's a little breadcrumb. They've already mentioned, hey,
that's true.
Rob Morgan says, look, I found the case in Brazil. Take us there. They won't do it,
Well, here's the thing too, that maybe they will, because they now filming this, they may have a little bit more freedom, which can be, it could be a gift and or a curse. Well, I mean, we'll find out. But the reason why I mention that too is because this was filmed during COVID, so I can only imagine how difficult this was. They actually did have, they didn't mention which hospital it was, but I'm assuming one in Jersey because they already knew that they were going to film there. But maybe the hospital might be like an outside shot, but all the interiors were sets. So but they did actually have a hospital that they were going to utilize. They had a greenlit and they had a contract and everything. But now in the height of COVID, we have to break
this work just as well.
We have to because of obviously the global pandemic and what's going on. So at the last second, they all of a sudden had to build a set for a hospital hallways.
Oh man, I wonder. I mean, I don't know that COVID really changed a lot of the dynamic, but boy, did this movie benefit from having a smaller scale.
I agree,
because
that's why I'm like, that's why going like having a little bit more freedom, like that could be a curse. And of course, as soon as a movie does well, more people get involved, and they're like, no, do it this way.
Yeah,
like,
too many cooks
because you have such a say because it didn't work fucking fine the first time, and then you fuck it up. But that's my only gripe on a possible sequel, where I love this film so much as is that I might. But maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't know.
This was supposed to drop on streaming. It wasn't supposed to get a theatrical.
That's true. Yes.
So it tested.
Was it the marketing?
Insanely well. No, it
was a test audience.
Yeah, they did a couple of test screenings, and because
the marketing was great too. The baseball game.
I saw the marketing before the movie came out. I knew it was for Smile, but I was watching a Met game, and all of a sudden
it was the Met game. Right? Yes, I saw that first.
The girl in the yellow T-shirt, and I was just like, "This is so good. This is so smart," and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So, anyway, so the marketing for the film was they would have at baseball games, they'd buy tickets for behind home plate, and they would have actors from the film stand up at moments when you wouldn't be standing in a baseball game, smiling with the smile from the movie.
And I think they knew where the cameras were, because from what I remember, they were looking right into the cameras.
Yeah, and being they made sure that it was lined up directly with home plate. And by the way,
that's true. Yeah,
those tickets aren't cheap, so well done. and they had this viral marketing, and of course it caught on. And they had one outside the Today Show. Because they have the window where you could go and, I guess press your face against the glass. I don't know. But they did that as well. But it's just smart, cheap marketing that's so highly effective, and I just get a chuckle at it.
And they were the actors, weren't they? Like, really, just go over
the movie.
Just go over here, stand there, and smile. That's it. What better advertisement do you need?
Love it. And again, it's the cleverness of the horror community, because that shit's not going to work for the rom-com, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
With a horror movie, it's resonant because it's unsettling. You know? So I thought
the whole film was unsettling. It was I love this one.
Very well done.
If I haven't proved that the last, how long have we been talking? An hour?
You know what? All right, we talked about Smile for a good solid hour, because we began the podcast with about 10-15 minutes of currently what we're doing currently with horror. If you haven't seen this film, please watch it. It's certainly worth your time. I watched it on Paramount Plus. I think you watched it on Amazon?
I watched it on Amazon, yeah.
Okay. So guys, it's out there.
It's out there, yeah.
It's all over streaming.
Check it out. If you've seen it, I definitely give it another go. Give it another rewatch, and maybe you'll hone in on the scenes that we're talking about. Like I said, the cinematography is gorgeous. Like everything about it. I just loved it.
I don't want to call a $17 million movie a small movie, but it is a small movie comparatively.
Comparatively, yes.
But it's incredibly well done. It's super tight. By that I mean we got an hour and 50 minutes, I think. Again, massive praise to Sosie Bacon Saoirse Ronan, we love you too. You just weren't in this movie. So Payton, you did a phenomenal job because she carries the entire damn movie on her shoulders, and her portrayal of someone coming apart at the seams is so effective and it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, you feel for her.
It's just so heartbreaking.
Like as a horror fan, I'm glad how the movie ended, but as a person who actually genuinely likes other people and is sympathetic towards characters like Rose, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, to your point though, the way this movie ends makes it resonates as more effectively as a horror movie. Mm-hmm. You know. All right, so can I talk a little bit about parallels?
Yeah,
that's movies.
That's pretty much my take on Smile. Yeah.
All right, great. So after I watched this movie, and you guys now knowing that I love a good curse movie, Ticking Clock, I started researching. All right, what else we have in the genre? Give me the goods. Give me the goods.
Yeah.
It just makes me think. God damn it, I can't remember her name. Oh, there's a movie where she says, "Show me the beans, show me the beans." Forget it. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut this. But it's so goddamn funny. Okay, so I want your input on this because I'm gonna name a couple of movies. I'm gonna put out a couple of movies, and you let me know if this falls into cursed or demonic or both, because this is the problem that I was having in my research. Cursed movies and demonic movies overlap a lot.
Okay.
A lot. Okay. Because a lot of demonic movies, the possession, they portray it almost
it's kind of the same way
as a curse. But I don't like my chocolate in my peanut butter. I like them separate. By the way, that's a lie. I was going to say, chocolate. I think that's delicious. I couldn't feed my stupid face with enough chocolate and peanut butter. But for the sake of my horror movies, genre-wise, again, if they overlap and they're done well, chef's kiss, love it, love it, love it. But I do like a clear, I like a clear defined movie of this is demonic possession and this is a curse. So with that said,
okay,
let's go over. Look, we have to start with Asian cinema because during the early 2000s they really perfected and dined out on cursed everything. So we have The Pulse, we have The Ring, we have The Grudge, we have Shudder. I'm probably forgetting about a half dozen to a dozen others that came out during that time.
I'm sure there's so many.
So they've definitely perfected the formula for the curse and the cursed object.
Okay.
Let's say. We'll put that aside for a moment. So then we have I think a perfect pairing with this movie is It Follows.
I would say that, yeah.
This Smile being more of you're an unlucky participant in a tragedy, and It Follows being you're a willing participant in what is basically a STD curse.
Okay.
Oh
well, yeah. I'm sorry, I was jumping back into Smile. I was like an STD curse. But for It Follows, yes.
This is really nice.
Because that was the same idea. Is you could pass it along to somebody,
and you can get rid of it.
And you can get rid of it. Yes.
You can get rid of it, but only for so long, because it will circle back.
Well, she passes it along to somebody, right? And then he gets killed, so it jumps right back.
It jumps back to her. She sleeps with, and by the way, guys, we will definitely do It Follows, but so spoiler alert, but then she sleeps with her good little buddy, and then her good little buddy sleeps with a prostitute with the thought of the prostitute will now sleep with however many Johns, and at least they'll get some distance from the curse. But then, of course, the last scene of the movie is they're walking down the sidewalk in Detroit, and there's a creepo about 100 yards back walking behind them. Could be just a creepo.
Could be just a creepo. Could be,
Could be It Waits, cousin of Smile, waiting to jack him up. But anyway, so I think a perfect pairing with this movie is It Follows. If you really want to doom and gloom out for like a good 4 hours, with also a lot of downcast, gloomy days, definitely watch that movie. Oculus.
Okay.
Mike Flanagan. One of his early movies, really good. Circle back to Oculus if you haven't seen it. Sinners because it's early Mike Flanagan, who I absolutely love. That's a cursed object movie.
Okay.
Then you've got another cursed object movie, which is actually Oculus is on Shudder, and you have Wish Upon, which just recently dropped onto. It's on Hulu, and it recently dropped onto Screenbox. Wish Upon is a good little movie.
Okay. I was gonna say I've never seen the last few that you mentioned.
Watch the unrated.
Okay.
If you can't find the unrated and you just watch the regular, it's a Joey King movie from probably 2017, and it's a good, tight hour and 45. Clever premise, they do it well, and it's fun, and it's a fun movie.
Nice.
Okay, now getting into one of my all-time favorites, and we have to do this movie, and we have to do it soon, because I'm jonesing for it.
Okay.
Drag Me to Hell.
I love Drag Me to Hell.
Sam Raimi, Drag Me to Hell.
Adding it to the list.
But, and I mean, this is a very definitive cursed movie, because it's literally a gypsy curse.
Yes.
So we can put that into, there's no demonic possession here. Then, Sinners, I'm going to go back to all the way. You would not be wasting your time if you saw this movie and sought it out. 1957, Night of the Demon. I think it's Dana Andrews, Night of the Demon. Check it out. You know, you're listening to this podcast, you love horror, you've probably seen it 5 times, you're probably telling me to shut up. But if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Here's where the waters start to get a little muddier for me. The Wailing. Have you seen The Wailing?
No.
Gotta see The Wailing.
Okay.
I have to rewatch it because it's definitely a cursed movie, but it also, I think it might also overlap with Possession. Then I had Thinner, Stephen King's Thinner.
Okay.
But Sinners.
Oh yeah, another curse movie.
The movie's okay. Read the book. The book's an absolute banger, and that's under the Richard Bachman books, but it's Stephen King. Then we had, just from a couple of years ago, Fear Street Trilogy, which is a witch's curse. So that's a curse. There's no demonic possession there. Then we had the Evil Dead franchise, and I think this is where I really kind of screwed myself up, because just about every damn one of these that I just mentioned is very definitively a curse and not demonic possession. Evil Dead for me kind of overlaps.
It's yeah, because well,
is it even a curse? I think I might be wrong. I don't think there's a curse involved.
Well,
right?
I guess it depends on your definitive of a curse.
I mean, the Necronomicon is cursed.
He would have been fine if those 3 words weren't read aloud.
Yeah, so you could have the Necronomicon and just have it, and you're not cursed.
Just don't fucking say anything.
All right, yeah. No, you know what?
So in a way, it's like, yeah, there's still like a trigger point that ignites this evil to come about. So in a way,
you have to trigger the curse for that, and the same goes for Oculus. Oh, sorry, no, Oculus. I think you're just screwed if you look in the mirror. So I mean, that's pretty hard not to do.
Screwed.
Wish Upon, you actually do have to open the box and engage with it.
Okay.
So anyway, Sinners, couple of recommendations on good cursed. All these movies that I mentioned here, well worth your time. Love a good curse.
Yeah.
You know, not gonna lie.
Let us know what you think in the comments on either our Instagram page at Sinful Cuts, or you can even email us at sinfulcuts@gmail.com. I did that backwards. You get it. You know what to do.
You know. And please follow us. We're begging for reviews. We're begging for followers. I hope you think that the content's worthy of it. We certainly have fun doing this podcast, so we hope that you have fun enjoying it. We're going to wrap up in a minute. We just want to do one more thing. Shannon and I are we're going to have a fun little game right now. Shannon brought over Stupid Deaths. And explain to the Sinners what Stupid Deaths are.
So basically, Stupid Deaths is just a card game. You basically pull out a card and you read a story, brief little story, and you just have to say whether it's true or false.
So going forward, we're actually going to read the card at the beginning of the podcast, and then are we going to divulge at the end of the podcast or next podcast?
I would just do it at the end. I don't want to torture people that much. Yeah, so we'll do a quick little game now. Do you want me to read, or do you want to read?
You read.
Okay. All right. So. Okay, so I'm gonna try not gonna butcher this name. So the name at hand, Miyamoto Musashi.
Okay.
I think that's how you say that. Sorry if I got it wrong. Born 1940, died 1973. Miyamoto Musashi That's different spelling. Anyway, was an actor and martial arts expert famous for his 2-finger push-ups and his deadly 1-inch punch. It was a bite from one of the 3 venomous Komodo dragons he kept as pets that killed Miyamoto. He died within a few hours from the highly septic bacteria contained in its saliva. Is it true or false?
I'm going true.
Miyamoto is, first of all, as I'm reading this, there's like, they spell his name very differently on the title part and then in the subject matter. And they also spelled martial arts wrong.
Oh, Jesus. Come on, stupid guess. What the hell?
They spelled it marital arts. I'm not the best speller in the world.
I'm changing my answer. His wife killed him. I think the court gave it away.
So your second answer was right. Maybe it was his wife, because that is false.
Damn it. Yeah, all right, I was sticking with my first one. I would have been I wouldn't have been happy for him, but I would have been so happy if he actually got bit by a Komodo dragon and died from the poison. Are Komodo dragons poisonous?
Yes.
Oh, they are?
Oh, yeah.
I thought they just ate your face off.
No, they could. So they rely on their one bite that they could probably get you, and then they'll just follow you around.
Oh, come on,
until the poisonous saliva starts taking effect.
Oh, that doesn't seem very fair.
No, yeah, and then they just follow you around until you till you dead.
And then just eat your face off.
Yeah, but so that is like a true thing that's what they do.
One of my favorite things in the world are lizards running. I just adore it.
What about the Jesus lizard on the water?
On the water. Okay, wait. Let's announce to our Cinners before we punch out. What do we have next week for 'em?
Oh my God, what do we have? Hold on, I forgot.
ROTD.
Oh yeah, it's your turn. Yes, Return of the Living Dead. I'm so excited about that one.
I can't wait. I got a big week coming up. It's a very busy week, so I'm going to watch it tonight. I'm going to take my notes tonight. Return of the Living Dead is probably, it's not even probably, top 5 horror movie for me. We'll really do a deep dive into it. If you thought I was gushing over Smile, oh my, you're all going to get type 2 diabetes next week with how much sugar I'm going to pour on this movie. But I cannot wait. Until then, stay scary, have fun, watch lots of horror, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Woo-woo. That's a cut. Eek.